Welcome to English Lane. Today we begin a very special journey, the complete life story of Sachin Tendulkar, a story of passion, discipline, and dreams. So sit back, relax, and listen carefully. This story will not only improve your English listening skills, but also inspire your heart. Part 1. Early Life and Childhood Dreams. His full name was Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar, but the world knows him simply as Sachin, the name that became a symbol of cricket itself, a name that millions chant with love and pride. Sachin. Sachin. Sachin was born on April 24, 1973, in a middle-class family in Mumbai, India. His father, Ramesh Tendulkar, was a respected writer and professor. His mother, Rajni Tendulkar, worked in an insurance company. They were not rich, but they were warm, humble, and full of love. As a child, Sachin was very energetic, always running, jumping, laughing. He loved to play, to move, to explore. But in school, he wasn't the most focused student. Teachers often said, "He's a good boy, but he can't sit still." No one knew then that this restless energy would one day shake the world. Sachin's elder brother, Ajit Tendulkar, noticed something special about him. He saw the spark, a rare hunger, a natural rhythm with the bat. Ajit believed Sachin was born to play cricket. So, when Sachin was just 11 years old, Ajit took him to meet a great coach, Ramakant Achrekar. That meeting changed his life forever. Coach Achrekar watched the young boy play a few shots. He didn't say much at first. Then he looked at Ajit and said, "This boy has talent, but he must work very, very hard." From that moment, Sachin's world began to revolve around one thing: cricket. Every morning before sunrise, Sachin would wake up, put on his white uniform, and run to Shivaji Park, a famous cricket ground in Mumbai. There, under the hot sun, he practiced for hours. Sometimes his hands bled, sometimes his body hurt, but he never stopped. Coach Achrekar had a special way to motivate him. Whenever Sachin performed well in practice, the coach would buy him a small coin. Those coins became Sachin's treasures, more valuable to him than gold. He practiced in the morning, he practiced in the afternoon, he practiced even after sunset, under the streetlights. While other children played games or watched TV, Sachin practiced batting. It became his world, his life, his dream. And behind that dream stood his brother Ajit, silently guiding him, encouraging him every day. At that time, Mumbai was full of young boys who dreamed of playing cricket for India. But Sachin was different. He didn't just dream, he worked for it like a soldier. He was small, shy, and polite, but inside, he had the heart of a warrior. His discipline amazed everyone. When he was 14, Sachin played a match for his school, Shardashram Vidya Mandir. That day, he and his friend Vinod Kambli created history. Together, they scored more than 600 runs in a single partnership. The newspapers called it a miracle. People started asking, "Who is this little boy named Sachin Tendulkar?" The answer was clear. He was not just a boy anymore. He was the future of Indian cricket. Day by day, his confidence grew. He began playing against stronger teams, older players, and tougher bowlers. No matter how big or strong his opponent was, Sachin's focus never broke. He watched the ball, waited for the right moment, and struck it cleanly. Pure timing. Pure art. Cricket experts began to notice him. They said, "He plays like a master, but he's only a teenager." By the age of 15, Sachin's name spread all over India's cricket circles. His matches drew crowds. People would gather just to watch the small boy with curly hair hit those beautiful shots. And yet, even with all this attention, he remained calm and humble. He respected his coach, listened to advice, and never showed arrogance. Coach Aktrakar used to tell him, "Don't think about the crowd. Just think about the ball." That advice stayed with Sachin for the rest of his life. He learned to shut out the noise, the pressure, the distractions, and focus only on the game. Soon, selectors began to take notice. They started saying, "This boy is ready for bigger things." And that's exactly what happened next. Part 2. The Rise of a Young Prodigy, 1987 to 1991. From school grounds to the gates of international cricket, Sachin's rise was nothing short of extraordinary. He was still a teenager, but his game carried the maturity of a seasoned player. Every shot he played, every run he scored, seemed to whisper a promise that something great was coming. In 1987, at just 14, he was selected as a substitute for a Mumbai Ranji Trophy match. He didn't get to play that day, but just sitting in the same dressing room with senior players filled him with quiet determination. He told himself, "My time will come." And it did, sooner than anyone imagined. The following year, at the age of 15, Sachin made his debut in first-class cricket for Mumbai. The world watched in surprise as this small boy with curly hair walked onto the field, bat in hand, eyes full of focus. Facing experienced bowlers, he showed no fear. Ball after ball, he stood firm, his timing perfect, his concentration unshakable. By the end of that match, he scored a century, 100 runs on debut, and the name Sachin Tendulkar began to echo across India's cricket circles. Selectors, journalists, and fans couldn't stop talking about him. "He's different," they said. "He's special." Newspapers printed his photos. Coaches from all over India studied his technique. The cricketing world knew a new star was being born. In 1989, at just 16 years old, Sachin achieved what most players only dream of. He was selected to play for the Indian national team. His first tour? Pakistan. The land of fiery fast bowlers, roaring crowds, and fierce rivalry. It was baptism by fire. Facing legends like Wasim Akram and Waqar Younis, Sachin took his stance at the crease, tiny in size, massive in courage. The ball came flying at 150 kilometers per hour, but he didn't step back. He stood tall, played straight, and earned everyone's respect. There was one unforgettable moment in that series. A deadly bouncer from Waqar hit Sachin right on the nose. Blood dripped, pain spread, the crowd gasped. The team physio rushed toward him, but Sachin waved him away. He wiped the blood, tightened his grip, and faced the next ball, striking it for a boundary. The Pakistani crowd, known for their intensity, stood up and applauded. That day, the boy became a man. After returning to India, Sachin's reputation skyrocketed. He became a symbol of youthful bravery and discipline. Cricket fans saw him as hope, the future of Indian batting. His calm face and fearless attitude won hearts everywhere. When he walked out to bat, even opponents watched in silence. By 1990, Sachin scored his first Test century against England at Old Trafford, Manchester. He was only 17. Under pressure with wickets falling around him, he played like a rock. Every stroke was measured, elegant, full of confidence. When he reached his 100, the Indian dressing room erupted in joy. That innings saved the match for India and announced to the world the little genius had arrived. From that moment on, there was no looking back. He wasn't just a teenager anymore. He was the pride of a nation, the heartbeat of millions. And yet, through all the fame and praise, Sachin remained humble, quiet, and focused, always grateful to his coach, his family, and his country. He once said softly to a reporter, "I just want to play cricket. That's all I ever wanted." And that pure desire to play, to improve, to serve would soon make him one of the greatest legends the world had ever seen. Part 3. Becoming the Nation's Hero, 1992 to 1998. From a young prodigy to a national icon, Sachin's journey was now unstoppable. The early 1990s were a time of hope and transformation for India, and Sachin became the face of that new dream. Every time he walked out to bat, millions of people stopped whatever they were doing. Streets went silent, televisions glowed, and families gathered to watch him play. In 1992, Sachin toured Australia, a land famous for its fast pitches and fierce competitors. He was still only 19, yet he faced bowlers like Craig McDermott and Merv Hughes with calm confidence. The crowds admired his courage. The commentators couldn't believe his talent. On the bouncy pitch of Perth, he scored a brilliant century, one of the finest ever played by a teenager. Even the Australian players applauded him. They said, "This boy is special." He's not afraid of anything. That series changed everything. Sachin was no longer just India's young player. He was now a global name. Cricket fans from all over the world spoke of him with respect. He wasn't big in size, but his game had power, grace, and genius. His timing, his footwork, his patience, everything seemed effortless. Back home, the people of India found something more than cricket in him. They found hope. In a country filled with challenges, Sachin became a symbol of excellence, proof that hard work and discipline could lead to greatness. For a nation of over 1 billion hearts, he became the boy who carried their dreams. By 1994, Sachin began opening the batting for India. That decision changed his career forever. In his very first match as an opener against New Zealand, he smashed the bowlers all around the ground and scored 82 runs in just 49 balls. It was fearless, explosive, and breathtaking. From that day, Sachin the opener became a nightmare for every bowling attack in the world. The mid-1990s were his golden years. Match after match, he scored runs, centuries in England, South Africa, New Zealand, and Sri Lanka. Every shot he played looked like poetry in motion. Bowlers tried to find his weakness, but there was none. Fast bowlers, spinners, swing, or spin. Sachin had an answer for everything. Fans began calling him the Little Master. Children started copying his stance, his straight drive, his calm smile, and whenever he reached 100, the entire nation would rise, clap, and shout his name, "Sachin! Sachin!" Then came the 1996 World Cup, a tournament that changed Indian cricket forever. Sachin carried the weight of 1 billion hopes on his shoulders. In every match, he was India's pillar. He scored 2 magnificent centuries, one against Kenya, another against Sri Lanka. Even when India lost in the semifinals, Sachin's performance made him the tournament's highest run scorer. Reporters called him India's shining star. But success was not easy. With fame came pressure, expectations, and responsibility. Sachin rarely smiled in public. He carried a quiet seriousness, not because he was sad, but because he knew millions expected him to perform every single time. He once said, "When I go out to bat, I know I'm not just playing for myself. I'm playing for my country." In 1997, Sachin reached another milestone. He became the captain of the Indian cricket team. It was an honor and a huge challenge. Everyone believed he could lead India to glory. But cricket is unpredictable. Though Sachin gave his best, India's results were mixed. Losses hurt him deeply. He didn't blame others. Instead, he blamed himself. That's the kind of man he was, humble in victory, graceful in defeat. Despite the struggles of captaincy, Sachin's personal performances remained extraordinary. He kept scoring, kept inspiring. His shots were like prayers, his centuries like festivals. Children in small villages, students in busy cities, all wanted to be like him. For many, Sachin wasn't just a cricketer, he was hope in human form. In 1998, Sachin faced his greatest test, Australia's Shane Warne, the best leg spinner in the world. The cricket world waited for their battle. And when it happened, it was unforgettable. In Sharjah, under the burning desert sun, Sachin played two back-to-back innings that became legends. One was the Desert Storm innings, pure destruction, pure magic. He smashed every bowler with confidence and calm. Warne later admitted, "That day, I had nightmares of Sachin hitting me for six." Those matches sealed his status forever. Sachin was no longer just India's hero. He was the world's cricketing phenomenon. From the narrow lanes of Mumbai to the grand stadiums of the world, Sachin's story had become a legend. He was loved not only for his talent, but for his humility, his discipline, and his quiet strength. As the 1990s came to an end, one thing was clear. Sachin Tendulkar had become more than a player. He had become a feeling, a symbol, a heartbeat that united an entire nation. Part 4. The Glory and the Burden, 1999 to 2007. By the end of the 1990s, Sachin was no longer just a player. He was the soul of Indian cricket. Every match he played carried the weight of a nation's hopes. When he scored, India smiled. When he failed, millions felt the pain with him. It was glory, but it was also a burden that only he could understand. In 1999, the cricket world turned its eyes once again toward the World Cup, held in England. Expectations from India were sky high. Sachin was in his prime, confident, focused, and ready to lead with his bat. But just before India's crucial match against Zimbabwe, tragedy struck. His beloved father, Ramesh Tendulkar, passed away. The news shattered him. The man who had nurtured his dreams was gone. Sachin immediately flew back to Mumbai to attend the funeral. The whole nation grieved with him. Everyone assumed he would miss the rest of the tournament. But after spending just a few days with his family, he made a decision that defined his character forever. He returned to England. He said, "My father always wanted me to play for my country. I will play for him." When he stepped back onto the field, his eyes carried both pain and purpose. Against Kenya, Sachin played one of the most emotional innings in cricket history, a century dedicated to his late father. After reaching his 100, he looked up to the sky, tears in his eyes, and quietly said a prayer. The stadium stood in silence, then erupted in applause. It wasn't just 100 runs, it was a tribute, a promise, a moment of pure human spirit. Even though India couldn't win the World Cup that year, Sachin's courage became a story of inspiration for generations. He taught the world that greatness is not only about runs or records, it's about heart. As the new millennium began, Sachin continued to dominate. His technique evolved, his confidence grew, and his hunger never faded. From 2000 to 2003, he played with unmatched consistency. Every series, every pitch, every opponent, he faced them all with calm brilliance. The straight drive, the cover drive, the flick, each shot was a masterpiece. Then came the 2003 World Cup, hosted by South Africa. India once again looked to Sachin, and he delivered with passion, fire, and magic. He scored 673 runs in that tournament, the highest by any player in a single World Cup. His knock of 98 against Pakistan became iconic, fierce, flawless, unforgettable. Though India lost in the final to Australia, Sachin was awarded the Player of the Tournament. The world bowed to his brilliance once more, but the years that followed tested him in ways no one expected. Injuries began to trouble his body. Tennis elbow, back pain, shoulder strain. They became constant companions. Reporters questioned his form. Critics whispered that his time was ending. Every failure made headlines. For someone who had carried the nation for years, it was a heavy burden to bear. In 2005, he underwent major surgery and missed several matches. For the first time in his career, Sachin felt helpless. The man who had conquered every bowling attack was now fighting his own body. But he didn't give up. He trained harder, rebuilt his strength, and returned to the field with quiet determination. Then came the 2006 to 2007 phase, one of the toughest in his career. His form dipped, and the pressure grew unbearable. The media questioned his motivation. Some even said he should retire. But those who knew Sachin knew one thing. He would never walk away until he gave his best. He kept fighting. Even in pain, he smiled for the fans. Even under pressure, he walked out to bat with the same calm look in his eyes. He once said, "People throw stones at you, and you turn them into milestones." That became the story of his life. Behind all the records and fame, there was a man of discipline, faith, and quiet strength. He prayed before every match, thanked his teammates after every win, and never took credit alone. For him, cricket was never about ego. It was about love. Love for the game, for his team, for his nation. As 2007 came to an end, Sachin stood at a crossroads. He had achieved everything, centuries, fame, records. Yet, something inside him whispered that his journey wasn't over. He wasn't done inspiring the world. Not yet. Part 5. The Legend Reborn, 2008 to 2011. The years after 2007 were supposed to be his sunset. Many thought Sachin had done enough, that his best days were behind him. But legends are not written in the past. They rise again. Stronger, calmer, greater. And that's exactly what Sachin did. In 2008, after India's difficult World Cup exit, the team toured Australia. The series was fierce, emotional, and full of controversy. The famous Monkey Gate incident between India and Australia made headlines everywhere. The tension was high, but Sachin stood like a rock. In Sydney, when the crowd booed and the pressure mounted, he played an unforgettable innings. Calm, elegant, full of control. His century silenced the critics and lifted the spirit of the team. That same year, India faced England at home. Just before the series began, A horrific terrorist attack shook the city of Mumbai, Sachin's hometown. The country was in pain. Stadiums were filled with silence and grief. When the series resumed, Sachin played not just for victory, but for healing. In Chennai, chasing a massive target, he guided India to a historic win. After scoring the winning runs, he looked up, eyes full of emotion, and whispered, "This one's for Mumbai." That single sentence captured the heart of a nation. The years that followed marked Sachin's rebirth. He wasn't the young, aggressive boy anymore. He was wiser, calmer, a master in complete control of his art. Every innings he played carried the beauty of patience and precision. He began breaking his own records quietly, gracefully. In 2010, the world witnessed something historic. In Gwalior, against South Africa, Sachin became the first man in the history of one-day international cricket to score a double century, 200 not out. The crowd went wild. Commentators lost words. It was more than a record. It was a moment that defined human excellence. When he raised his bat and smiled, the entire world smiled with him. Even his opponents stood and applauded. That year, Sachin's bat seemed touched by magic. He scored centuries everywhere, in tests, in ODIs, against the best bowlers in the world. And yet, every time he was asked about personal achievements, he would say the same thing. "I just want India to win the World Cup." For over 2 decades, that dream had stayed in his heart. The one trophy he had never lifted. The one dream that kept him going through pain, pressure, and fatigue. Then came 2011, the year of destiny. The ICC Cricket World Cup returned to India, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. It was Sachin's 6th World Cup, and everyone knew it might be his last. From the very first match, he played like a man on a mission. Every innings was filled with grace and hunger. He scored centuries against England and South Africa, guiding India to the knockout stages. The whole nation prayed for him. People said, "Win it for Sachin." Teammates said, "We'll lift the cup for him." The semifinals came against Pakistan, the biggest rivalry in cricket. Under immense pressure, Sachin scored a brilliant 85 runs, helping India reach the final. Then came April 2nd, 2011, the night that would never be forgotten. The final at Wankhede Stadium, Mumbai, Sachin's home ground. As he walked onto the field, the crowd roared his name. "Sachin! Sachin!" echoed across the stadium. India bowled first. When the chase began, Sachin came to bat early. The pressure was unimaginable, but destiny had its own script. Though he didn't score big that night, his spirit filled the team. Gautam Gambhir and MS Dhoni carried the fight forward. When Dhoni hit the winning 6, the entire nation exploded with joy. Tears rolled down Sachin's face. The dream of 22 years had come true. Teammates lifted him on their shoulders and carried him around the ground, chanting, "Sachin! Sachin!" It was one of the most emotional sights in sports history. For once, the man who had given everything to his country received the ultimate gift in return, the World Cup. That night, under the bright lights of Mumbai, Sachin said, "This is the proudest day of my life. I've been waiting for this moment for 22 years. And the world knew. The journey was complete. From a boy with a bat in Shivaji Park to the greatest batsman on earth, Sachin had lived his dream with purity and passion. He didn't just play cricket, he taught the world how to live with purpose. As the World Cup celebrations continued, people across India lit candles, danced in the streets, and shouted his name into the night sky. Sachin had united 1 billion hearts once again, not just as a cricketer but as a national treasure. Part 6, the final chapter, 2012 to 2013. After the glory of the 2011 World Cup, Sachin stood at the peak of his career. He had achieved everything a cricketer could ever dream of: records, respect, and the love of an entire nation. Yet deep inside, he knew time never stops, even for legends. As 2012 began, questions started rising. When would Sachin retire? He had already played more than 2 decades, and new faces were arriving in the Indian team. But Sachin never played for records or numbers. He played because he loved the game. So he kept going, giving every ounce of energy left in him to the sport that defined his life. That year, India faced England and Australia. The series was tough, and Sachin, now in his late 30s, found himself battling both world-class bowlers and his own aging body. The reflexes weren't as sharp, the stamina wasn't the same. Critics began to whisper, maybe he's past his prime. But if you've watched Sachin's career, you know one truth. He never gave up without a fight. He scored another Test century against Bangladesh, taking his tally of international hundreds to an unbelievable 100 centuries, a record that may never be broken. The world stood up and applauded. Commentators said, "This is not just a record, it's a monument to dedication." After that, he slowly started stepping away from limited overs cricket. In December 2012, Sachin announced his retirement from one-day internationals. It was the end of an era. For the first time in over 2 decades, Indian fans knew there would be an ODI without Sachin Tendulkar. Then came 2013, the year that would mark the final bow. He decided to retire completely from international cricket after playing his 200th Test match. The venue. His beloved Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. It couldn't have been more perfect. When the announcement came, the cricket world froze. Fans cried. Social media exploded. People said, "Cricket will never be the same again." The 2-match Test series against the West Indies became a celebration of his life. Every moment was filled with emotion, banners, songs, posters, and endless chants of "Sachin, Sachin." The entire country watched every ball, knowing these would be his last. In his 199th Test in Kolkata, Sachin played beautifully. Classic drives, elegant cuts, and that familiar calm smile. The crowd gave him a standing ovation even before he walked off. But the real farewell awaited in Mumbai. When the 200th Test began, the energy at Wankhede was electric. It wasn't just a cricket match. It was a goodbye concert for a national hero. From the Prime Minister to school children, everyone was watching. As Sachin walked onto the field holding his bat, the roar of the crowd was deafening. He played one final masterclass, 74 runs filled with grace, timing, and emotion. Every run felt sacred. Every stroke reminded people why they fell in love with cricket in the first place. When he was finally dismissed, the crowd stood for minutes, clapping, crying, chanting his name. Even the West Indian players joined the applause. It wasn't the end of an innings, it was the end of an era. After the match, the stadium lights dimmed, and Sachin took the microphone. Then came one of the most emotional speeches ever delivered in sports history. With tears in his eyes, he said, "My life between 22 yards for 24 years. It's hard to believe it's coming to an end. My heart is beating faster right now. I just want to say, cricket will always remain in my heart. I thank my parents, my wife Anjali, my children Sarah and Arjun, my coach Achrakar Sir, my teammates, and every Indian who prayed for me. Without your love, I am nothing." As his voice cracked, the whole stadium cried with him. His family, teammates, and even opponents couldn't hold back tears. When the ceremony ended, Sachin walked to the pitch, bent down, and touched the ground with his hands. The ground that had given him everything. He looked up at the sky, whispered a prayer, and slowly walked away. That image of Sachin touching the pitch became immortal. It was not just the farewell of a player. It was the farewell of an era, a spirit, a symbol of hope for millions. Part 7. The legacy lives on, post-retirement and beyond. Even after retirement, Sachin didn't fade away. Instead, he turned his energy toward inspiring the next generation. He started mentoring young cricketers, sharing his wisdom and guiding them to believe in discipline, humility, and hard work. He became a member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha, donated his salary to charity, and supported causes related to education and children's health. He also launched the Sachin Tendulkar Foundation to empower underprivileged kids through sports and education. Brands kept calling, fans kept chanting, and the love never stopped. But Sachin remained humble. He often said, "I'm not a hero. I'm just someone who followed his dream." In 2014, he received the Bharat Ratna, India's highest civilian award, becoming the youngest recipient ever. The entire nation celebrated because the award didn't just honor a cricketer, but a man who had united 1 billion hearts with his silence, smile, and straight drive. Final closing message. The lessons from Sachin Tendulkar's life. So what can we learn from Sachin's incredible journey? His story tells us that greatness is not about talent alone. It's about passion, humility, and perseverance. He showed that even when the world doubts you, you can still rise again. If you love what you do, he proved that success means staying grounded, even when the world calls you a god. He taught us that real champions are those who respect the game, respect others, and never stop learning. Sachin Tendulkar's journey from a small boy in Mumbai to the greatest batsman on earth is not just a sports story, it's a story of faith, discipline, and love for one's dream. And as you finish this story today, remember his words, "Dreams come true if you chase them with all your heart." So keep chasing your dreams, keep working hard, and never give up. Because somewhere inside you, there's a spark of greatness too. You were listening to English Lane, Learn English Through Real Stories. If you enjoyed this journey through the life of Sachin Tendulkar, don't forget to like, comment, and share. And always remember, great stories don't just teach English, they teach life.